Yasutake Award. So each year, our Peace and Justice Committee for the Episcopal Diocese of Chicago gives an award to a peacemaker in honor of the Reverend Mike Yasutake. The Reverend Yasutake was an outspoken Chicago activist and Episcopal priest who fought for the civil rights of imprisoned protesters. He died in 2002. And so I'd like to invite Delegate Priscilla Reed, who's convener of the Peace and Justice Committee, to confer this year's Yasutake Award. So Priscilla, I see you come forward. Thank you.
I'm joined by the Reverend Gary Cox, who received the Yasutake Award last year. Can I be heard in that? This year, we present this award to two Episcopal priests, the Reverend Michael Rasicci and the Reverend Robert Trask, for whom our baptismal covenant is seeking and serving Christ in all persons, striving for justice and peace among all people, and respecting the dignity of every human being has defined their ministry. Congregants and colleagues always note their humility. They see the marginalized. They transmit a prophetic gospel message of radical love and Christian responsibility and view the church as an integral participant in a wider community so that faith and action for social justice are harmoniously intertwined. The Reverend Robert Trask discerned his call to the priesthood while serving as a vocational instructor in a Kansas state prison. He received his Master of Divinity from Trinity Episcopal Seminary. Ordained in 1984 in Pennsylvania, he served in 3 dioceses before retiring to Illinois in 2013, where he served at St. Barnabas in Glen and as chaplain at St. Leonard's Ministries. A dedicated member of Peace and Justice, he's been a board member and a volunteer at a number of food pantries, soup kitchens, homeless shelters, and Habitat for Humanity. In 2007, while on sabbatical, Bob's haunting visit to the Wounded Knee Massacre historical site inspired him over several years to organize teams from the Diocese of Eastern Michigan to the Cheyenne River Indian Reservation in South Dakota. He brought this practice to St. Barnabas in 2014. Last summer, a team of 10 traveled to the Cheyenne River Episcopal Mission to volunteer at a camp developed by resident priests to reintroduce the Lakota horse culture to children, many of whose grandparents had been removed from their homes and forcibly sent to boarding schools. Bob uses the theology of being with to describe his ministry on this reservation. In 2021, he was instrumental in the passage at Diocesan Convention of Resolution D-184, Justice for Indigenous Peoples, that repudiated the doctrine of discovery and called upon the Peace and Justice Committee to guide our diocese in a period of truth-telling about the impact of this doctrine on Indigenous peoples and on policies of forced assimilation. It also called for examining the Episcopal Church's complicity in running boarding schools for Indigenous children. In 2022, Bob joined colleagues in hosting a webinar probing these same issues. From 2017 to 2022, he served as chaplain at St. Leonard's Ministries. St. Len's was created to promote the reintegration of formerly incarcerated by promoting a supportive community, education, training, board, lodging, and medical and dental insurance. Describing his ministry there, Bob quoted Stephen Charleston, retired Bishop of Alaska and Choctaw Nation elder, "I'm a believer in second chances." Bob has been guided in his journey by Micah 6:12. What does the Lord require of you but to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with your God? The Reverend Michael Rasicci joined a religious community in 1976 and was ordained in the Roman Catholic Church in Ohio in 1980. He served with that community for 17 and a half years, 3 of them in Colombia, then chose to marry. He continued priestly ministry for 3 years in the Polish National Catholic Church in Chicago, was received as an Episcopal priest in 2000 and was called to be rector of Calvary-Episcopal in Batavia in 2002. Father Mike's years in Colombia inspired his commitment to cross-cultural interaction and to viewing the church as part of a community network, bringing a deeper awareness of the role of the faith and the church in alleviating poverty and fostering human dignity. The mission prayer of Calvary includes the words, "We strive to be a transforming light within our parish and within our community," and Father Mike is the exemplar. In 2000, as he prepared for reception as an Episcopal priest, worked with 2 secular agencies serving Blacks and Latinos in Chicago's West Side, furthered his understanding of how work nurtures dignity, and opened his eyes to the long-term effects of racial discrimination and generational unemployment. A passage from 1 John 3:17, "How does God's love abide in anyone who has the world's goods and sees a brother or sister in need and yet refuses help?" guides Father Mike in Calvary. From the rector's discretionary fund or his own pocket, assistance, moral, spiritual, financial, is available to anyone who asks. Monthly Sunday collection supports social service agencies that assist the unhoused and tackle homelessness as a national issue, and an ecumenical organization that addresses global hunger. Father Mike's chaplaincy in local police and fire departments serves families in disasters. As a longtime member of the Batavia Ministerial Association, he encourages Calvary's participation in interdenominational events. He does not simply invite his parishioners to volunteer, he pitches in himself. Finally, Father Mike has furthered interfaith links by strengthening Calvary's 40-year association with the Batavia Islamic Center, which not only rents space in the church, but has helped fund building improvements, including accessibility ramps and stair lifts. The 2 communities share meals, for example, the iftar at Ramadan, and enjoy a cordial relationship of mutual respect. For all of these reasons, this year, the Peace and Justice Committee is honored to present the Yasutake Award to the Reverend Robert Trask and the Reverend Michael Rasicci. Could I ask them to come forward?